Hello guys, in this video I'm going to explain Amazon Bedrock to you in very simple language. So even if you don't have any background in artificial intelligence or machine learning and this is the first time you are hearing about Amazon Bedrock, then this is the right video for you. And even if you have been using AI, generative AI models, LLMs, and you have heard about these terms, even then I'm sure that this course is going to help you out. Amazon Bedrock is a generative AI service from AWS. AWS is a cloud provider, and as you might know, AWS is world's leading cloud provider as it provides a lot of managed services where you can pay and you can use those services as you would do on rent. Amazon Bedrock is such a service on rent through which you can do generative AI. Let me explain further. Normally what happens is that whenever you are using these artificial intelligence models, then you need to do a lot of things. When we say artificial intelligence models, or there is another word for them which is large language models or LLMs, we mean that software applications which do generative AI for you. Generative AI means where AI generates something. That generation could be generation or creation of text, or generation of images, or generation of videos. So for example, if you want to create an image of a beach, then you would simply write it in English that I want an image of a beach with white sand and wind blowing and that sort of stuff, and then you will just write that text or input that text to that large language model or LLM, which is just an generative AI application or software, and then that LLM will return you that image, or if you have asked for video, it will return you that video. Another sort of generating task we can do is we can ask these LLMs to summarize a text or to even generate a new text like a story, blog post, presentation, and the list goes on. So, this is what generative AI is, this is what LLM or model is. Now, if you want to host your own LLM, or if you want to even use an LLM provided by a lot of other providers, then you need to do a lot of things. For example, you need to first provide infrastructure. Infrastructure means that you first need to provide hardware for it. You need to provide how many GPUs or graphic cards you want to use. You need to ascertain the memory. You need to be aware of how much disk you are going to use, which operating system, what libraries or modules are there, or other dependencies, and of course that you need to download the data set. Now, if you are talking about even a decent sized model, then we are talking about gigabytes and hundreds of gigabytes of data or terabytes of data. And then GPUs are not cheap. For example, if you are using an entry level EC2 instance with GPU at AWS, the bill could go in hundreds even if you run it for few days. So these things are not cheap. So even if you are thinking of obtaining your hardware software from a cloud provider, then even then it is expensive. Now the story just doesn't end there, because you need to have operating system which is relevant to the model. For example, there are few models whose dependencies don't work with Amazon Linux or Red Hat Linux. For them you need to use Ubuntu. um, there are ways where you can use those models with the other flavors or distribution of Linux, but you would have to rebuild the kernel, GCC libraries, and the list goes on and on. There are few operating system which comes up with some of the libraries, but for the others you need to install them. And in order to install them, you would need to install their dependencies. For example, if you are doing text to image generation, then there is a library FFmpeg, which is um, very hard to install on few of the Linux distributions, but it comes readily available, for instance, on Ubuntu. And then there are a lot of other things. So all of these operating system, these dependencies of libraries to each other, data sets, is another story where you have to download the data set if you want to train the model. So you can imagine Without Bedrock, if you want to use LLM, there is a lot of work. And I have various videos on my channel which you can search and see that how to install locally, such as Llama 2, Code Llama, and even with the quantized version, quantized means shorter version, it is quite a hassle and expensive to host and run these LLMs or models. This is where Amazon Bedrock helps. Amazon Bedrock is simply a hosted model on a hosted infrastructure. What it means is that you don't have to download any model, you don't have to download any operating system, or you don't have to download any dependencies, nothing to install, nothing to create. For the infrastructure, AWS already knows which infrastructure is useful for which model, they already have created it. So they already have some hosted models on hosted infrastructures, and you don't have to worry about upgrading them, installing them. All you need is an API call to those models, and with those API calls, you can use those models. And there are a lot of models which AWS provide, which I will show you shortly. So this is what Amazon Bedrock is. Amazon Bedrock simply provides you an API interface to the hosted models. If you have used AWS Lambda, which is a serverless function, the concept is similar. If Amazon Bedrock is a serverless service which lets you use LLMs or models. Okay. Now let me show you how Amazon Bedrock looks like. Now, in order to use Amazon Bedrock, log into your AWS account and just type Bedrock, and you will be presented with Amazon Bedrock. Now, if you look at this screen, it in the overview it describes what exactly Amazon Bedrock is, which I already have described to you that it is a fully managed serverless service, which enables you to access LLMs. They are also called as foundation models, but that is this term FMs or foundation model is it's not used that much. Cool. Now, in order to get started, just click on Get Started, and you'll be presented with this screen. Let me reload it. I think my session timed out. Once you are in the console of AWS Bedrock, this is the screen you are presented with initially. And AWS is upgrading this service very rapidly, so this might look different in the future, but for now, this is how it looks like. Okay, now if you look at this screen, this is really clever from AWS. What they have done is that AWS Bedrock is just an interface, an API interface to various models. So a lot of providers are creating models such as this AI 21 Labs, Amazon's own Titan models, and then this Stability AI, and then this one. Now, if you just think about it, AWS could put in any model here, open source or from a provider, and then they will expose it through an API which you could use it from your code. And I'll shortly show you how. So this is quite a clever service that instead of giving you a model, they are giving you an interface to unlimited models. Very cool. Now, on the left hand side, let's review all of these options. Let's click on examples. So these are the examples currently provided from AWS for different models. For example, this model use Amazon's own Titan text large model, which is used for generative AI. What it means is that this um, model is giving you this sample response on the basis of this prompt. Prompt is simply a question or our input to the LLM to do something. And prompt are normally in specific templates. By template, I mean that it should be in question answer format or maybe simply um, in the format where we'll be typing first menu script, then the name of the person, and then another name of the person. So prompt enables you to direct or instruct a model to give you a better response. Okay, now on the right hand side, these are some of the parameters which we use. When we say temperature, temperature primarily means the randomness of the answer provided by the model. Now, what it means is that if the temperature is zero, the response of the model will always be the exactly same. But if you increase the temperature to maximum one, model can get creative and every time the response will be different. Normally, in the real world, we set this temperature to zero point 0.5 to zero point 0.7 wherever it provides you the correct answer. Then the next parameter is top, which is top probability, where it just selects top responses and it narrows down the string from where the model can make the selection, and then the left length of the response and where it should stop. Cool. And you don't have to worry about most of this stuff because the default values are more than enough often. So whenever, so in this example, whenever this prompt is given to the model, then it gives you this response out of that. And this is how you can embed this in your API call. Now, in this example, uh, we are just summarizing this text. So if I go up, this is a prompt, which is a whole text, and then model is just summarizing like this. And in the input, this is a prompt template that after giving it a text, we are asking it summarize the above text in 5 bullets, and then model knows exactly what it needs to do on this input. So this is what prompt is. Similarly, for example, if you want to do create an image, for this we are using the model stable diffusion XL from Stability AI. So let's click on this one. So the prompt is Sri Lanka tea plantation, and the sample response is quite cool, as you can see. And you can just give it any prompt here, and it will give you the sample response. Now, these are few of the example of some of the stuff which you can do here, and there are a lot of other models which you can play around here. Now, if you go to the models here, this is a list of model which is currently being supported by um, Bedrock, and you need to request access, and then you will get access to few models. But for some, it is already supplied, such as Stable Diffusion, Titan, and these are the Titan models from AWS. The Titan Text Large is for generative AI, for generating stuff, and Titan Text Embeddings is for embeddings. Embeddings simply means numerical representation of text. It is also called as vectors because machine or LLMs understand numbers better, and they can do a lot of things on them. And I have another video on my channel about embeddings in more detail with simple examples. Now, if you look at the providers, which we already have seen, these are the providers at the moment, but this list will grow on, I'm more than sure. Now, embedding, as I already mentioned, but embedding is you can do a lot of things. One of the things which you can do with embedding is called a semantic search. What it means is that, for instance, if you give a model an image of a horse, a zebra, and a cat, and you ask the model which animals are similar, it will come up with zebra and horse, but it won't give you the cat because this is called as similarity search or semantic search, where model knows that which things are similar. It does it on the basis of those vectors or numbers or embeddings. Okay. Now, another cool thing about this Bedrock is that it provides you two playground. One is for text task, and another one is for image task. So let's try out the first text one. Click on text, and then you can select the provider. Let me go with the Amazon one, and then I'm going to select this generative AI large Titan large model, and then I'm just going to ask it what are the steps to renovate a bathroom or bathroom in Queen's English. And I'm just going with temperature. Let's say I'm just increasing the temperature to 0.6. I will keep this top probability here, and I will just leave the rest of it here, and I'll click on run. It will take you some time to come back, so let's wait for it to finish. There you go. So how cool is that? So it has given you the bullet point, and you can make it more and more better. Like you can say here, uh, please give more detail on flooring. Let's run it now, and it hasn't given me any flooring, or maybe it has lighting and power. White. Let's see what happens. There you go. So it has given me now more detail on the power one. So this is how these models work. Now let's click on images, And then, yeah, just because we don't want to save it, that is fine. Maybe I'll just ask it a white sandy beach with wind blowing and dolphins jumping in background in sea. Jumping in. Okay, let's run it. Let's see what happens. So let's wait for it to finish. So you can see whatever I have written, it has given me that, but it has made this mistake that dolphin is out of the water. Um, so it is, but it is fairly close, and we can improve it with the help of prompt. The more better our prompt will be, the better this image will be. So now let me show you how you can do it through the API call, which is the essence of Bedrock. So this is a notebook provided by AWS. So let me walk you through. So the first thing you need to do is to do the setup. You need to install few of the libraries here, which I'm doing with this. And then you can run this in any Linux environment, Windows environment, VS Code, wherever you like. If you have Python installed, AWS CLI installed, and you know how to work with Boto 3, which is the AWS SDK, then you should be sweet. Now the service name is Bedrock, as we do in Boto 3. This is the region and this is the endpoint. And then you can list down all the LLMs with this list command of Bedrock service. And then from there, this is the response you will get. Now, if you want to use the model, then this is the prompt in the text format, which we were playing with in the playground of Bedrock. And then this is how you can access the model. First, simply create the JSON out of this prompt. Then give model ID. I'm using AWS Titan. And then you can use any other provider. Then this is application JSON, content type, application JSON. And if you are not sure how to what are these values, go back to Bedrock. Then on the right hand side where we were playing in the playground, click on view API request and you will get similar stuff which is in the code. Now then just invoke the model and then this will give you the response, load the response and then print it. That's about it. And similarly you can use Anthropic's Claude here and then Jurassic's Grand model and so on and so forth. So this is how you can use um, this Bedrock through API call. So just let it digest for a moment. All we are doing it, we are simply invoking the model. We are not installing the model. We are not loading any data. We are not installing any PyTorch, Tensor, Transformer, or any other thing. All we are doing it with this Bedrock service. We are invoking this API with our prompt, model ID, and that's it. And it is giving us the result back. So I'm more than sure lot and lot of applications will be built on top of it. In the subsequent videos, I'll be showing you more code examples in my lab. So please stay tuned. If you have any questions or any confusion, please ask in the comments. And if you like the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you.